So Wami, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you everyone for joining us on this very exciting webinar. So as Hannah said, my name is Romy. I'm the CEO and one of 3 co-founders at Sensi AI. Today I'm here from Sacramento, California, but usually based out of Austin, Texas. I'm very excited for this webinar. This webinar is the first out of a series of webinars that Sensi will host with the goal of knowledge sharing among our partners on several topics, where today's topic would be how to successfully integrate technology into the home care business. As everyone here probably know, while the cost of labor continued to rise, reimbursement for home care has not grown at the same pace, right? These numbers paired with caregiver shortages and the rising demand for seniors looking to age in the comfort of their own homes has made it hard to match supply with demand without compromising on quality of care. Home care industry leaders are increasingly turning towards technology in the home to extend the reach of their staff, supplementing quality in-person care hours with technological tools would allow them eventually to optimize care and provide support beyond just care hours. However, with this realization comes new obstacles. What in-home care technologies are there today? And more importantly, how do you successfully implement them? The good news for agencies is that there are early adopters who have done it and done it well. And we have 2 of them here. I'm fortunate to be joined by 2 such innovative industry leaders, Kelly George, owner of Touching Hearts, Ohio, and Casey Rausin, COO at Care Around the Block. I think their experience will be extremely valuable to our listeners today. So before we dive in, I would love to hear a little bit about
Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi. I don't see a video, but I am in the chat now, or in the room now.
Okay, great.
Am I here? Okay. Oh, I'm talking. Okay. It's telling me weird things. I don't usually speak.
Okay, so before we dive in, I would love you ladies to just share a little bit about yourself, why you came into home care, and what challenges caused you to venture into meshing high-tech tools into your high-touch operation. So Kelly, I would love to start with you. If you can share with us what brought you into home care, and broadly speaking, what is the biggest challenge you see for home care agencies today?
Okay. So my background was not in anything care related. My background was in banking, and I took some time off from my career. And once I got to the point where I was ready to start a new career, I wanted to do something that mattered and made a difference. And I had some family experiences that made home care a really good fit. So about 10 years ago was when I started the franchise company. For me, the biggest challenge is that when I started the company, my goal was always to be the best provider out there. I only wanted to do it if I could really feel that the care we were providing was above and beyond anything else that was out there. So I knew what good care looked like. I knew what it felt like from a family standpoint and a client standpoint. And I knew how to give it myself. But as we grew, now we have over 100 caregivers on our team. It's very hard to replicate that and to have the entire team providing that same level of care that you want to be out there. And so, that's really what has always led me to be looking at innovative solutions that's going to help me get to that point.
Super interesting. Thank you. And Casey, turning it to you, if you can share also a little bit of your background, why you came into home care, and then what type of challenges you see in the market that potentially, technologies can solve.
Absolutely. So I graduated nursing school with my RN degree in 2008 and became a certified care manager in 2014. In 2008, I also began taking care of my father at home, who had a tragic accident, ended up as a paraplegic. So several years before that, he, was at home wheelchair bound. We had multiple caregiving agencies that worked with him, and it was just a revolving door. It was just a terrible experience as a recipient of that kind of care. And so in 2008, Oh, I actually joined the Care on the Block in 2012. And so it was a blessing at that point for me to find a company that had the same expectations for home care that I did. And that we could do better. Like, I knew that we could do better. I had fired 5 companies and I'm like, I know what I want. Like, we have to be able to do better than this. So we started as a care management company and then added the caregiving piece in 2015. And it's just such a blessing to be able to work with people that have the same expectations and the same passion for home care that I do, and that we want to treat everyone like they're our parents, because that's where most of us started with this. So I think since COVID, we're all really feeling the challenges of the workforce shortage. So I know locally we lost about 30% of our direct care workers post-COVID, and the industry itself, nationally has grown about 44% in the last 5 years. I recently attended a growth summit via Home Care Pulse and learned that for every 3 companies that need an employee, there is 1 employee available out there. So across the board, it's not just for home care. We're competing with Chick-fil-A, Bath and Body Works, factories, not just other home care agencies anymore. So we can't just be the best home care agency. Like, we have to be the best all the way around. Like, we have to think about like our benefits and our employment package all the way down. And so there's also more than 10,000 people turning 65 every day. So for every 4 of those people that need a paid caregiver, there's 1 available. And we just don't have enough people to take care of those that need care. And the people that do need care are becoming sicker and needing more skilled care, because they definitely want to be at home after COVID. The last place people want to be is in a facility where their family can't come visit them. So as home care agencies, we can't keep doing things the way that we have been doing them. It doesn't work anymore. So I really feel like technology is the future for home care. We are always looking for ways to be innovative and what's out there, what's new to the market. We all need to be innovative and creative in order to make sure our clients are happy and healthy and that their needs are met. And for me, Sensi does this in a variety of ways. Only the top 10 to 12% of individuals can afford true in-home care. And I really feel like, along with Sensi and other technologies, it's really going to open up ways and doors, venues for us to care for that other 30% of people that have worked really hard their whole life and they have some money set aside for care. And technology is going to be able to help us provide some care to that other demographic.
Thank you, Casey. I think what you described of manpower shortage and what Kelly described, and like maintaining the quality of care, it goes together, right? At the end of the day, you want to have like good people that are coming to take care of our loved ones at its scale, hopefully. So let's look at the types of technologies we're seeing today in the market. So the traditional approach to supporting seniors outside of care hours has been to address emergencies or to provide any kind of reactionary support. If a senior falls, they can press a button and an ambulance will come. The one that most commonly comes to mind is Life Alert, which I'm sure everyone on this conversation heard about them. They were founded in 1987. But there are other wearables as well that are designed to provide an added sense of security for both families and seniors. These are not really considered high tech. And actually data shows that 79% of the time, older adults with any kind of purse solution, will never even use them. This happens for a variety of reasons, including not keeping them charged, being physically unable to use them, being paralyzed by anxiety and adrenaline in the moment of an emergency, and simply forgetting to put them on. So Kelly, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on that. What you are seeing with the success of low-tech solutions like wearables, and is this something that Touching Heart implements as we speak?
Yes, it was. I started offering wearables about 6 or 7 years ago in response to clients asking about it. And at that time, there wasn't really any other solution. I mean, heck, that Apple Watch wasn't even doing the things that it does now. So we became a supplier for Guardian pendants. And it was frustrating for me for all of the reasons that you just described, because if you have somebody with neurocognitive changes, it's not telling you anything about what they need. you can't even be guaranteed that they know when to press it. Something else that we found a lot was if they did press it, whether it was an accident or not an accident, and then the person speaking to them through the base of it, half the time they couldn't even understand what that person was saying. So it became very frustrating, and there wasn't good communication even when they did need help. But, you know, making sure that they were wearing it, getting them to comply with wearing it. You know, you have people that would hang it on their walker, but then not take their walker when they go into the bathroom, or they take it off when they get in the shower. And that's the highest risk of having a fall. So it was hard to feel good about providing that because I saw all the limitations.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Now, following this, you know, like the start of PERS, we saw also a few more reactive technologies coming into the market as time went by. And we have things, you know, today as cameras, sensors, motion detectors. These technologies have become more sophisticated as time goes by and now incorporate passive detection, but still largely address reactive issues such as location and weather, and whether there has been a fall or not. Some of these provide agencies with limited data and insights, but they don't provide a holistic 360 view of the clients, even cameras today. They do not address more advanced concerns of emotional well-being and cognitive awareness and decline. And Casey, this one is to you. Just if you can share whether Care Around the Block experiment with this type of technologies, what was their receptively with seniors and families, and were there any limits to the insights you were able to get out of it?
Absolutely. So having worked with clients and families for the last 10 years, we've used a variety of different devices and sensors and cameras and, you know, really, I wouldn't say everything that was out there, but we've touched a lot of the things that are out there. So I've seen a lot in the last decade. I feel like it is really a mixed bag. We have some that are receptive to cameras and some that aren't. Most of our clients will allow us to do a bed alarm, but that's just an alerting device. You know, that doesn't prevent anything from happening. And there has to be someone in the home to respond to that device. So that doesn't take care of any workforce shortage issue. Sensors have been a lot harder to get into the home. I have really been interested in a lot of that technology. The cost of setup on that is pretty expensive compared to some other things. But it's also, I think, harder because I don't think our seniors really understand how that works. So therefore, they're not able to really see the benefit. I really do like the idea of having sensors under the bed so that when they move and their feet hit the floor, a light comes on. So it helps reduce the incidence of falls. I have had a few people allow this because like you can really easily show them, oh, see, and it makes sense. As far as cameras are great in the moment. But cameras give no insight whatsoever. There's no AI behind the ones that I have used. And I don't have time to sit there and watch somebody on a camera all day or rewind the camera and see what happened and listen to it and watch it. I need something that does the work for me and then feeds the important information to me so that, you know, when I go to visit, I know what I need to pay attention to. So that's the biggest thing for me. You only see like, you know, wherever the camera is pointed to, like it doesn't pick up everything.
Right. So I think you touched the main drawbacks of solutions like that. And I think that also like one other thing that maybe we're seeing across the industry is that what other technologies have in common is the fact that they are mainly reactive, right? Mm-hmm. So what that means is that they will not provide information in advance before an emergency occurs and will not allow you as a home care agency owner to take preemptive action. However, they do have the ability to detect potentially life-threatening situations and alert the agency with, of course, the drawbacks that you mentioned. Well, everyone on this call are Sensi users, and we want to cut to the most high-tech solution, which is Sensi. And as you know, Sensi assesses your client's physical, emotional, and cognitive well-being to provide actionable insights and recommendations that can help prevent issues in the home. It is a proactive approach when it comes to care. But when it comes to adoption, and this is a very interesting part to learn from both of you, Kelly and Casey. The more advanced the technology is, the more intimidating it can be for seniors. And even, and you touched a little bit on that one, Casey, and even their families when, mom and dad are not happy about having even a person in the home in the first place. So, so Kelly, if you can start and to share whether it's you or your care managers, how you're making families and even the seniors themselves feel comfortable with more advanced technologies in the home, regardless of what it is.
Sure. I think it just started at the beginning with my excitement of this as a potential solution. When I first found out about Sensi, I was just convinced that this was going to solve a lot of problems for us, and everybody around me saw that excitement. It wasn't a question of, will we do this or how seriously will we do this? It was more of we need to do this because this is going to make a difference in our clients and the care that we can give them. And so when we're talking about it with the families, first we've already got that relationship. So we're capitalizing on the fact that they do already trust us for recommendations. But they can see our excitement. I always like to remember that phrase of, people aren't going to remember exactly what you say to them, but they'll remember how you make them feel. And if you make them feel that this solution is going to help and it's going to be insightful and it's going to result in a level of care that we couldn't have without it, then they feel good about that. And you get less questions and they just kind of like, all right, let's do it. They just, but it has to start with that relationship and that belief in the product.
I totally agree on that. Like there is nothing like authenticity, especially when you're the one that's providing them this care and at the end of the day, suggesting what is good for them. Casey, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Kelly. I think the passion has to come from the top. So when we decided to invest in Sensi, it wasn't a matter of if for us either. It was like when and how fast can we get this done? So we were super excited, like from the top all the way to the bottom. And we trained everyone. So all of our care managers, our office staff, our schedulers, our sales team, our care partners, everyone in our company knows what Sensi is and has ongoing conversation about Sensi. So I think what really has worked for us is just showing not only our clients what has worked, how Sensi has helped other clients, but sharing that with our employees as well. Because then we've had care partners sell Sensi for us in the home. They will tell a client, oh my gosh, you need to get this. And then they'll call and we'll send somebody out. And then we have another Sensi in a home. So sharing those success stories with as many people as we can, because they share them with others. So being honest, authentic, like Romy said, creative, and then always knowing your audience. Like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to the neighbor next door that is stressed because she's worried about her neighbor? Are you talking to a kid, the client themselves? You really have to be good at sales when it comes to things like this, and you have to have buy-in and passion with what you're offering. And if this doesn't come from the top down, and if everyone is not invested in it, then there's going to be gaps in what you're trying to do. You really get out of something what you're willing to invest in it. So again, we did a lot of training. We continue to talk about it in every meeting. We talk about it in our care partnering meetings. We talk about it in our leadership meetings. We share success stories, and then not just client success stories, but care partner praise stories as well. So when we get those positive interactions, we're using that for training and then as ways to recognize our care partners as well. So I think that's been the biggest thing for us as far as, like any kind of employee pushback, is just the training, just putting it out there. It's not gatekeeping any of the information.
Yeah. Right. So if I need to summarize it, so we're talking about being authentic and really believe in what you're offering, and then also training across the board, which I also believe that is very, very important to get everyone aligned with the benefits that this solution brings at the end of the day. If you ladies can be a bit more specific in regards to positioning. So if you have any tips to our listeners today how do you position Sensi in the homes when coming to speak about that with seniors and their families?
So, I mean, we love our clients. We're passionate about what we do for them and what we offer for them. So, like Kelly mentioned earlier, it's all about the relationship that we have with them. We're very close to them. We've worked with some of them for about 10 years, so they trust us. So, it's usually pretty easy if we say mom or dad can benefit from this, or this will help us help you. Most of them are on board. But what I try to do is just really kind of keep it simple. Less is more sometimes with this. If it's something that's complicated or complex and they don't understand, just tap into that problem that they have and like that emotional need, that the problem that we're trying to solve, and talk about it from that angle rather than talking about, the device so much or the service so much. Just talk about the problem that you're going to solve with this service. And it kind of, you're able to skirt around some of those things that open up a lot of other questions that put barriers in being able to get it in the home.
Right. So speaking about the what and not about the how.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kelly, anything you can add on that?
Yeah, for us, I think the biggest problems that we're solving from a new client standpoint are the thing that's constantly a bigger fear than technology is the fear of having a strange person enter your home that you don't know anything about and trusting this agency to send somebody. So with new clients, we talk a lot about Sensi being able to give us validation that the match that we feel is going to be good really is, because it will pick up on those positive interactions. And it makes a family feel so good when they see those on the care report. The other big question that we have with new clients is they're always trying to figure out what the right number of hours and when the hours are. And Sensi is fabulous with helping us figure that out after that initial baseline period. You got to be comfortable with saying, you know what? Yeah, I don't think your mom needs these overnights anymore, because you're going to sometimes see that. But you're also going to see the situations where you find out they really do. They're in distress. They really can't be alone during those times. And it is so much better to have that data behind it rather than it feel like you're trying to get more hours out of somebody. So those are the two big things we capitalize on. We also make it standard of care. So for any of our clients that have at least 20 hours a week of caregiving with us, there's no additional cost that they have. It's just included in their rate. And then for clients with less than 20 hours a week of care, we don't charge them for the Sensi, but we charge them a weekly fee for being below 20 hours a week. And that essentially covers our cost of Sensi.
I think that being innovative around pricing models and how you go to market with that, this is also a secret sauce for success that both of your agencies have figured out really nicely. So if we already went to this direction, Casey, anything you want to add about this one? Pricing or go to market, any kind of tip?
Yeah, just, like we talked about earlier, like any type of monitoring system, can often be intimidating. So like I never talk about Sensi in that way. So we never call it a monitoring system. I just take it with me and show them that it's this little speaker and that it's only trained to alert us about the things that you want us to know in order to help you. So, and I've tested this myself. So I had a client that he needed a new bed. So we had to go into his room one day and break down a bed and like haul the bed out, bring a new bed in, set it up. I was there for a couple hours with his son. And the whole time we were talking about all kinds of different things, but nothing really related to his father and his care. And so I came back the next day and I'm like, I'm going to see what Sensi picked up that I was talking about yesterday. And nothing, not a word. I was not captured on there one single time. Because there was nothing that we were talking about that was relevant whatsoever. And so I shared that, a lot too, that it's truly, it blows my mind how it's trained to do these things. Like, I don't expect y'all to understand, but like, I promise you, like it really only picks up the things that you would want us to know so that we can help you. So for example, we had another lady that was really sick one night. She had been up all night, like nausea, vomiting. And so the next day, we listened to them every morning. And so the next day we knew that, and we were able to go and check on her and get her care really quickly. And we would have never known that. She isn't really able to pick up the phone and call us and tell us that. So we see her every week, but it was going to be 4 days before we saw her. But our insights pointed us into the direction of a problem. And so we were able to possibly prevent her from, getting dehydrated and then having increased weakness and potentially a fall. So the biggest thing that I see with Sensi is the fact that it does have that early detection piece. And that is what I talk about so much, is that it gives us the ability to get ahead of potential problems. We recently had a guy that went to the emergency room in a hurry after he cut his hand in the garden. And so we got a high alert from Sensi that, somebody had gone to the hospital. So we called the home first. We couldn't reach him. So we go to the local hospital and they're like, hey, how'd you know we were here? And we're like, well, you're Sensi. Let us know that you were in trouble and told us to check on you. And they were so glad, that we had showed up for extra support and advocacy for them in the ER. And then we were able to get them home and they didn't have to go in an ambulance and, all those things. It gives them just better quality of care. Even something that you think is that small, that's not that big of a deal. They would have been okay. Yes, they would have. But for them, that is a huge quality of service that we can give them when we would have never known that, being able to anticipate their needs. So that is one of my biggest, the biggest ways that I position that to families, vendors, clients. Just, we're trying to prevent these things from happening to you, and just trust me, like, you don't think it's going to happen, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen to you. So just let's be proactive. So
right. I shared it with you before, Casey, but those are the kind of stories where, when I hear it as as one of the founders of the company, it really gives me the chills. This is what we're waking up for every morning. So before going into questions from the field, which I'm sure people have some questions to you after this very insightful talk. If you have any, first of all, thank you for sharing everything with us, and thank you for hopping on this call and devoting from your time. If you have any takeaway in regards to something you want the audience to go out with in regards to integrating technologies, high tech into your high touch operation. Kelly, you want to start?
Sure. My one message would be just to jump in and do it, because you'll be a believer.
Right.
Once you, like Casey said, these stories they can't help but make a believer out of you, because they just happen week in and week out with various clients. It's consistency where nothing else can be that consistent. AI is not biased. AI doesn't miss stuff. AI isn't distracted. It is consistently picking up the things that we want to know. It's amazing.
Yeah, you are so right, Kelly. Yeah. Do you want me to go ahead? Sorry.
No, sorry. I just wanted to hand it over to you. Yeah,
you are so right. Like, it is a game changer for us as far as the insights go. And I mean, we are a clinical agency. Like, we're owned and operated by registered nurses. We're founded on that. Like, that is our bread and butter. And I even, like, when we decided to go all in with this, like, I had no idea the clinical feedback that I was going to get. And I can remember after our first, when I sat down and did our first 2 weeks, I was blown, like, mouth dropped to the floor, like blown away with the information. And I had a list of things that I needed to go and do and follow up on. So the insight, it blows my mind. It allows us to provide such better care for them. But I just want to challenge everyone to incorporate technology into your business. Like, if we want to stay in business, like, this is a way to diversify your business. And we have to think outside the box as home care providers and figure out ways for technology to work alongside people to meet the needs of our clients, because it's the only way we're going to be able to keep up with the supply and demand in this industry.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with what the two of you said. So with that note in mind, I will hand over to Hannah to if we have any follow-ups questions from the audience. And I will thank you again, ladies, for being here today.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me.
So I just want to join Romy in saying thank you so much. And it really is amazing to see the dedication and just the innovation with which you have integrated Sensi into your business. So thank you so much for joining us and for the tips and really valuable insight that you've shared. We have gotten some good questions. So first, I just wanted to ask something that's a little bit less about positioning and more about how you're actually utilizing Sensi. So you spoke a little bit about the clinical insights that come through on the dashboard and which ones are really holistically helping you provide better care for your clients. So which ones do you feel are really useful and help you change kind of the way that you're providing care and also position ultimately with people that you want to introduce to Sensi?
So
Kelly,
for me,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
No, Casey, go ahead.
Kelly. So for us being a clinical agency, like I don't think that there's any one that is more important than the other. So that's one thing that I love about Sensi is that we provide individualized care and so does Sensi. So like it picks up anything and everything that is care related. So whether it is the potential for a UTI or that someone is, tripping or like that they could be potential for a fall, like all of the, or they're coughing too much at night. So do we have congestive heart failure? Like, are we about to end up in the hospital for exacerbation of CHF? Like these are huge things that can prevent hospitalizations, which also relieve stress on our hospital infrastructure. It's not going to be able to keep up either, so if we can, as home care providers, take some of that pressure off of our hospitals and our doctors, like that's huge too. So I think that all the clinical insights are important. So we listen to all of them every single day. And then we either make phone calls or we just get in the car and go to the home. So we talk to the care partners that are there. We do telehealth things. I mean, whatever we need to do from a care management standpoint. But I mean, that's what care management is. And that's what makes our business unique. And that's just kind of the difference between what we do and what some other home care agencies do. And I feel like that really is what's given us a lot of success is having those nurses there to be able to jump in and do something about that.
Yeah.
So Casey, oh, sorry, Kelly, go.
I was just going to reiterate that we also listen to every single snippet. We don't pick and choose. For me, some of the most impactful things that it has found are with our clients that are living with the neurocognitive changes. And, you think you have a caregiver with them who has all the patience they need and the skills to work successfully with this client. But we've made reassignments of caregivers because we'll listen to a snippet or several snippets and it's very apparent that this person is not going to be able to stay with this client. All the training in the world can't really help you with how you view something. So we've had to make some hard decisions with moving around care teams because it was just apparent that it was not going to be successful. And then we've had so many where it's just a beautiful thing. And to start your day with hearing that and to be able to tell the caregiver, wow, the interaction that you are having with your client is so amazing. You truly are changing her life. That's invaluable too. So, yeah, big stuff.
I agree. I love that too.
I think it's really great for us to hear that it's having such an impact. And again, like Casey, you said it earlier, that it's not just the big things, it's sometimes the little things, that small positive interaction that can really just reinforce your team and give you the power to just go through another day with the hectic schedules and crazy fires that you are putting out all the time. So we got a great question from the crowd. And I would love for Kelly, for you to address this first, and then Casey, I would love for you to follow. This is from Tracy, and Tracy says that they're rolling out Sensi next week and just wants to know, what is your number one piece of advice, how to have a successful Sensi rollout?
Practice what you're going to say over and over out loud with somebody in the office before you go, because you can think you are so ready And then you just go into saying the words technology and oversharing and giving way too much information. And it really takes control to be ready for that conversation and the questions that come at you. So definitely practice, believe in it, know while you don't have the experience that we've seen from the sound clips, know that it's there and that you're going to get it, and just be super excited about knowing that it is going to help, and just believe in it.
Yes, I agree. Being prepared, having your elevator speech ready, knowing what you're going to say, but not only that is being prepared for like those pushback questions. So when people do ask you about privacy and they do ask you about how it works, like know what you're talking about, because if you get there and you're not prepared to answer those questions, they're going to lose confidence in what you're doing, the goal is that you're there to achieve. So, be prepared with what you want to say, but then also like think about everything that they could say to you, and then have a comeback for that. And then always like, what it's like when you get in home, they want to talk about everything under the sun, but like always look for ways when you're in those conversations to like bring it back to how Sensi could solve every single one of those problems. And so we had great success in our first week, like put in the work before they get there, and just really pay attention to what they're saying and let them guide you. They know what they're talking about. And Sensi has got that part right, like they give great support when it comes to that. And just work hard that first week and you'll be good to go.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I hope that helps, and good luck on your deployment this week. And I wanted to ask just an open question. So Kelly and Casey, feel free to jump in terms of the care report. So I want to know how you're utilizing the care report with families, with caregivers, with the senior themselves, and how do you position that? And then when you share the care report, how do you bring it up? How do you kind of use it to maybe bring up the extra care hours, like you were saying before, Kelly, or just talk about those tough issues that you're seeing come up?
I really love the way that Sensi has formatted that care report, and it's really just been in the last few weeks that I've gotten familiar with it, to where I'm comfortable how it puts the data there and how I add to it, and then how I present it. Most of our clients really don't have any interest in seeing it, so it's a proactive thing that I would need to do, that just affects their impression of how professional of an organization we have and how on top of things that we are. So I would definitely encourage, even if people aren't asking to see it, to be proactive with sharing it with them, on either a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and just kind of spending some highlights. Our family members, a lot of them are out of town, so oftentimes we'll just do this by email, or we'll schedule a time for a quick call and email that report separately so that we can just kind of go over it. But it definitely changes their impression of your capabilities.
Yeah, so for us, I mean, that was part of our process that we started in the very beginning. And every 2 weeks, our scheduling team generates that family report and sends it to the family. But what our care managers are doing every day, they build that report. And they do get one final opportunity to look it over before it goes out to the family. But that way our families are consistently getting them. And then our care managers also communicate with our families weekly. So they just kind of touch base, ask if they have any questions, or if there's something specific they want to point out to them about that specific report, then they'll do so during their weekly, touch point. It's a minimum of a weekly touch point. Some of them we talk to every single day, but it just depends. But I love the outline of it too, and the way it looks. It's very professional.
Thank you. So that's a really great way to kind of frame how to put the care report together. And for people that are on the call that are maybe just getting familiar with it, I think it's a really good way to think about it, that you're kind of just sending over this document that says, hey, we've got you. And it can just be that extra nice touch point that really sets you aside with your clients. So we got another question about the operations and kind of integrating Sensi into your day-to-day. So both of you mentioned how important this top-down enthusiasm is and just really seeing the potential, and as leaders in your organizations, understanding Sensi and promoting it. And Casey, you mentioned training. So really having training across the board. But are there any other tips that you have for really getting your staff on board with integrating Sensi into their day-to-day and learning this new technology and really using its insights to make impact in care?
So for us, it is just being excited. It's just like with anything new. We're all excited when something's new, but you have to stay excited about it. And for me, I mean, like, I am really flexible on a lot of things, but like when I say that I am not flexible about something, like my staff knows like when I'm not flexible on something. So if I say like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. And like, you got to get on the train, or like, you just got to get off the train, like, because it's going this way. And so that is kind of the way, that is exactly how we felt about Sensi and with other technologies, like there's going to be other things that come up over the next 10 years. So we took the opportunity to not just teach them about Sensi, but, some of those statistics that I shared in the beginning, like we teach them all of that. Like, this may not be going on in your house right now, but this is what is going on in our industry. And these are the problems and these are the pain points. And you need to know these things because this affects your job. This affects your livelihood. This affects how our caregivers get paid and if we can pay them more. And, the industry's changed so much in the last 5 years. So we take it, a step farther and start with that kind of education. And so then here's the problem, and this is the solution. And like, I need you all to be on board with the solution. And so we do have, some caregivers that were resistant. I definitely have some conspiracy theorists on my team for sure. But I will say that once we got some of the data and they saw the benefits, like one story in particular that tugged at all of our hearts was we had a gentleman that was a widow, and we did not, we would see him like maybe once a month, just a touch base, make sure he was doing okay. He had a neighbor that really watched after him. And, he was like, sure, I'm on board with that. Let's do it. And so we didn't expect to really gain anything from the data with Sensi with him. But what we found was that every night he wasn't sleeping, and that he was walking the floors in his house and talking to the pictures of his loved one. And he was so depressed and so lonely, like scary, depressed and lonely, like bad place. And we had no idea. We had no idea that he was suffering like that. And we all were just like, that's so hard to hear. And I mean, everybody was just heartbroken over that. And he was one of our very first ones. And so we were able to make a lot of adjustments in his care. And so we've got a care partner with him a couple days of the week. And so we started like in September, October, which was right before winter, which makes people more depressed anyway, especially if you're really homebound. He doesn't drive. So we were able to get him a care partner a couple times a week. And then we have a care manager that spends at least a couple hours a week with him too. And I really feel like it's just, changed his life. I mean, he's still up some at night and he's still having those conversations, but they're definitely not as frequent as they were before. And he just feels more loved. And so that is nothing clinical whatsoever, but it's not always the clinical things that Sensi gives you feedback on. And that is just as important to his health and his well-being as, the fact that he was up all night coughing. And so that story in itself, I think really changed the course for our care managers and hearing that and seeing what we were able to do for him. But, once it really affects and changes the life of some of your clients in a positive way, like the buy-in should just be, it should just be easy.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's no way to not have buy-in once you start sharing what you're hearing and seeing. So, that's really the biggest factor, is just to share that information with everybody on your team.
Yeah. And in person though, like don't just send an email. Like if I just
Right,
sent that in
right.
an email, that's not impactful. But like when they
Right.
hear me and see me talk about that, like they can
Mm.
feel, the difference that makes. So like make it a priority. Do a Sensi Zoom once a week, or, this is what happened at Sensi at Care on the Block this week, or, whatever you have to do to get everybody on board. Because if it's something that you want to make standard of care, like everybody has got to get on board. You can't have one person like trying to tear down everything that you're trying to build up.
Right.
So thank you so much for sharing. Kelly and Casey, thank you for sharing. That's really heartwarming. And I think it just really shows how you said it, but there's those things that go sometimes beyond what you can see on a monitor, beyond something
Yes.
that you can even see at a doctor's office, that actually is the thing that's going to make someone's life go from being really hard and tough to being just having that smile, having that extra companionship. And I think that's really the beauty of home care, that it's not just about helping someone with ADLs, but it's really giving them that sense of independence, that sense of hug that they're getting in their home, that they're not alone and that they're supported. And we're very, very proud to have even a little bit part of that. So this last question, it really goes out to all of our panelists. Romy, I would love to hear your thoughts on this as well. And this is really open-ended. It's kind of just looking forward. What do the next 5 years look like in the home care industry? So Kelly, if you could start us off.
I think it's going to continue to get very competitive. I've always thought that as Casey was saying, really the only barrier to our growth is the people to do the work. And so we've got to be creative about how to attract those people. For me, having a team of support people in my office that is excited about the innovations that we're providing and the level of care that results in helps me feel like it's going to make the care providers want to work for us. So it's kind of all goes together. It's just a really competitive environment, and only the best are going to be the ones attracting both the clients and the caregivers.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think in 5 years, it's only the best that are still going to be standing. I think we're going to see a lot of the smaller companies fizzle out. I don't think that with the way home care has changed so much in the last 3 years. And so the cost of providing care has increased more in the last 3 years than I've seen it increase in the last 10. We're almost at a point in some areas, especially in rural areas, that, you're almost at the point of having to pay a caregiver to the point where you're going to price yourself out of business. And so we've got to find ways to diversify our businesses and ways to, to make it more affordable, like to put things in place to where home care can remain affordable and to where we can help others besides just that top 10 to 12%. I mean, and there's plenty of people that need care. There are. I mean, we have more than we know what to do with most of the time, but there's not enough people to care for them. And so whether that means developing other care models. I mean, we've tried some things here in the past, and the problem is we have all these ideas and there is no technology to support what we want to do. So it ends up creating a lot of admin work, and it doesn't set us up for success. And so there's some major things that are going to have to change in healthcare for us to be able to continue to help, all the people that do need help. But it's, I think we're going to see a lot of things change in the next 5 years, and just definitely stay knowledgeable. I think home care is definitely going to become more skilled. There's a lot of things going on in Washington right now. I mean, there's a huge thing with HCOA that's happening this month, actually, in Washington, trying to get some of the, rules changed and like VA reimbursement changed. So there is a lot that is happening. And so staying informed and being innovative and being aware of what's out there and like keeping your head up. And so you can't just look up and you can't just look down. You're gonna have to look all the way around and be prepared and be willing to to change, because if you don't, you might not be here 5 years from now. So
Yeah. Mm.
Romy?
So I agree with what have been said so far. I think that we see a very interesting trend in the past year or two. We see as like the demand is of course getting higher as time goes by, and we see more and more clients, seniors that needs care, but we see the average hours per client goes down. And it's mainly from two reasons, or one reason, which is caregiver shortage and the cost of service going up, and people eventually cannot afford this service, unfortunately, and especially not in the capacity that they really need to have. And this is why I see like three main, I think, trends that will follow this one, which the most significant part I feel is like being innovative, as you said, Casey, around business models and pricing models for home care agencies, for home care in general. I don't like the current business model, the current type of providing care is not sustainable with the current, challenges of manpower. So this is one thing. And then of course, like government payment that will, I guess, rise during the following years. Becoming more clinical, as you said, as well, both of you. Like I feel that the way that we used to call caregivers like non-skilled force, it's starting to shift, and it will be more and more. Yeah, we will go into a more and more clinical approach. Then, as you said, like also consolidation in the field. I guess we will see more and more like larger agencies that are taking place. And of course, like our thesis in Sensi is like technology will be a crucial part out of the operations of home care, to bridge this gap between supply and demand and really allow this 24/7 peace of mind, even for clients that cannot necessarily afford having people in their home 24/7.
Thank you, Romy. And thank you so much again, Kelly and Casey, for joining us. I think
Thank
everyone
you.
learned something, and beyond just being informative, it was also really heartwarming and exciting as someone that works at Sensi. And I think also for our customers that are really our partners on this vision. And we'll be sending out this webinar because everything that you said was so valuable. I think that people can really benefit from having this almost as a tool to share with your partners at your agencies, to share with your staff, and to really help in understanding Sensi and really understanding home care and how you can provide great care in general. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all.